UDM leader Bantu Holomisa says the governing party can no longer be trusted. Holomisa was speaking at the Isaac Wolfson Stadium in Port Elizabeth during the launch of the UDM's manifesto.
The message is this: South Africa is not the ANC. And these days, nor can it be said that the ANC is South Africa. It has lost touch with ordinary South Africans. It has lost its moral compass. It has betrayed its history. It has betrayed South Africa. The misuse of resources permeates both the public and private sectors. Where government is concerned, this mismanagement pervades all three tiers of government. When the UDM comes to power, one of the first things we shall invest in is professionalizing the civil service in order to deliver quality services. The appointment of DGs, Directors General, will be the sole responsibility of the Department of Public Service in consultation with the Presidency to avoid the current situation where ministers appoint their friends and thus perpetuate corruption. Another area in which we will invest is the training of the personnel of the bodies responsible for our security and safety in this country. That is the police, the intelligence, and the military. Their state of readiness must always be guaranteed so that they may execute their mandate. The people of this country deserve better, and they yearn for a better alternative. They deserve a party that will put them first.
Well, the United Democratic Movement has just wrapped up its election manifesto launch in Port Elizabeth. For more, we now cross to our reporter, Lerato Thipa.
An interesting speech by the president of the UDM, Mr. Bantu Holomisa, saying that this election is about trust. Who are the voters going to trust to solve the many issues that the country is facing? Also highlighting that the ruling party has perhaps shown distrust. They have exploited various services in terms of ESCOM, in terms of alleged corruption, the PIC, and then saying that because the ruling government is being known for corruption, alleged corruption, the UDM president is saying that the only other party to trust who can deliver these services to the people is the UDM. Mr. Holomisa, interesting speech by you where you highlighted practical ways to deal with the solutions faced by the people in this country and this province as well.
Yes, we are sick and tired of coming up with empty promises. You rather chose a route where you want to contribute to strengthen this project called democracy of South Africa. It's a pity that we are being disappointed by the struggle stalwarts of yesteryear. But however, we should not lose hope. Rather, let us come up with creative ways and also apply one's experience in administration. De facto, I was a head of government, whether one likes it or not, for 5.5, having been a head of a department for almost my career in the Defence Force. So I know the areas where you say you need to help people. There's a category which worries me, those people who are not educated. And you'll find that they are not near getting grants and so on. But if we were to invest a lot in rural renewal, those people could be skilled and bring back the life of ecosystems in those places, promote diversity projects, and the country would thrive once more.
You also spoke about the importance of cleaning waste, but also you said that that's going to take also residents to be proactive in making sure that their residents in the townships are clean, saying that in the townships people could form small businesses and they could get together and form businesses to clean the waste. But more importantly, you said that even the citizens, they must pick up and throw in the bin. Why was that important for you?
Well, South Africa is very dirty today as compared to many countries, and we are very lazy. We need to inculcate a culture of ownership where we are jealous to say this is our country. Although I'm calling for the companies, the political parties to clean the townships and informal settlement, but I still maintain that those who are throwing that waste, they must also participate so that in future they could go and throw this waste in an area which is designed for that.
In terms of job creation, you spoke about how there are a lot of people in the townships who don't have even a matric but have the skills. And perhaps the focus now should be trying to give these people skills and develop them in things such as construction, engineering, plumbing, agriculture. Maybe you're focusing maybe on a skills-based organization that gives people skills to get jobs.
Well, we have been promised skills. We spent a lot of billions through the SITAs. How I wish that we can convert those monies and those SITAs into sector banks, so that if you have studied IT and you want to start your own business, you could go to that sector bank and be empowered. And if you want to start your own textile industry, having done your fashion design, clothing and so on, where are you going to get the startup capital? Those sector banks can alleviate a lot of problems we are facing. So yes, the time to go and queue for jobs from 3 million population white people who run companies in this country, run businesses, is over. We have to invest in our own black people, 53 million of them.
Mr. Holomisa also spoke about the economy, which obviously is a huge important factor right now, and how to grow the economy. You spoke about an economic indaba, that as much there was a CODESA indaba, there needs to be economic and a land indaba that brings all the stakeholders together under one roof and find concise ways to deal with the land issue and the economic issue as well.
Yes, we have been calling for an economic indaba, more or less on the same scale as CODESA, which delivered political freedom. What frustrates me in this country is the fact that there will be a wide consultation and a policy like NDP, RDP would be published. But the tripartite alliance, you will find that they will immediately fight about that. Which investor is going to come to South Africa when the ruling elite is still fighting about what kind of macroeconomic policy do we need? Therefore, we need once more to sit around the table. I know that you are no longer going to sit around the table with Oppenheimers across, because they've unbundled a lot of their assets. You will find that our own comrades of yesterday are going to sit across, and they are the ones who are making the laws at the same time and frustrating this economic growth, which would have translated in producing more jobs.
Last, Mr. Holomisa, you spoke about that this election is about an election of trust. People have lost trust in the ruling party, as you said, and you are saying that UDM is the alternative party that people can trust. Why do you believe that people can put their trust in this party to take them forward and deal with some of the grassroots problems that they're currently facing?
I don't even need to motivate more for that. UDM from its inception has been betting on a wicket of anti-corruption. UDM has been promoting ethics of good governance, and we live that belief because we have written to President Mandela, Mbeki, Zuma, and now Cyril. And I'm thankful to Cyril because he seemed to be a listening person. And especially when we said, man, there are problems. The pensions money is being looted by some of the comrades who disguised as business people. Can you please intervene? Remember, even this state capture inquiry, the UDM was central in going to court together with other parties to make sure that that release by the public protector was released on state capture. Today there are those who are saying Zuma has not done anything. They are also saying, no, we're fighting corruption. Can you trust them? We can't trust them. UDM will never trust the ANC alone. So the time for South Africans to put all their eggs in one basket is over. We need a coalition government at national level that would promote checks and balances.
Thank you so much, Mr. President Bantu Holomisa, saying that the only way possible to solve the issues here is a coalition government, that they can solve the issues of this country. Right now, I've got Alice Ongama and Timka. Mr. Ongama, just some of the issues that were highlighted, education, unemployment, but what stood out for you in the President's speech?
I think the biggest issue for me is the party or the President came across as speaking for a party that has found comfort about what role they play in the political system. So, for example, a significant part of the speech was spent on the track record that the party had built in fighting against corruption. And I think, as I said before we started, that in fact this had been part of the general's flair in going back from the Transkei throughout the democratic period. So for me, everything else was about more maintain. In fact, we call it in business strategy that you focus on where you add the most value, where you are most competent, and in everything else you maintain industry standards. So how I would compare, for example, the economic thinking, the thinking around environmental management, to be on par with everybody else, except that I quite liked I quite liked the emphasis on a role that should be played by collectively, including the people who do dumping.
Well, that was the political analyst Ongaman Timka saying that what really stood out in the president's speech was the stance that the party has had in terms of corruption. The general is known as a steadfast man, a principled man who stands by his views, and he has said that over and over again, whatever it takes, he will continue to expose corruption, not for himself necessarily, but for the sake of the citizens of this country, because it is their money that's been exploited. So an interesting manifesto. All we have to do now is wait until the elections in May to see exactly did the speeches, did the promises, will they read results? Only we'll see when the elections come. For now, it's back to you in studio.
Well, thank you very much indeed. That was our reporter Lerato Thipa, who is at the UDM election manifesto launch in Port Elizabeth.